So now today we are going to discuss about the constant, but before we discuss about the constant, so let's discuss some philosophy behind it. Yesterday we were discussing about that there are two important aspects when we are understanding any programming language. One is how to do the work, and on what is the information on which we want to do the work, because we know that computer is used for information processing. So we need how to understand how to process that information, and we also need to understand how to store that information. So yesterday lecture was related to these two aspects in fundamental way. I can say that we were discussing about that different type of data types are available to us. Using those data types, we can represent our information in real world and get our program executed and written to automate the real world task or the requirement of the users. But in real world also, sometimes what happens that you have situations that you have a information which you cannot change or which you would not like to change. It will remain always constant. And similarly, you have some informations about the real world that which will be changing. Okay, so whatever we are writing, that we are storing in memory locations, and those memory locations we can access using two routes. One is using the addresses on which they are stored, and other one is the name given by us when we are programming that information to be stored in our memory by giving the variable name. So we have discussed that thing in the last class, that using variable names you can take the value from the memory and then you can change it, you can print it, you can initialize it again, like that you can do it. But in real world, sometimes what happens that you have information which you would not like to change. So that type of information also needs some mechanism from programming language so that it can implement the situations in real world that information will not be changed and it will remain constant throughout the running of the program or the software. So that concept we are going to discuss now. So basically we have these constants which actually are of two types, you can say. One is called literals, other one is called constants. So basically we have two classifications of the constant, and both of these classifications means that they will not change throughout the program, means throughout the duration of the program or life cycle of the program, they will not change. So they have the fixed values. Sorry. In the fixed value, uh, we have literals and we have constants. So in literals, uh, you have integer literals, you have floating point literals, you have character literals, and you have string literals. So till this point in time, we haven't discussed string. So for just your understanding at this point, we will discuss this thing later lectures. String is a collection of uh, characters. So whenever you are storing any information in which you have collection of characters, then you will be calling that thing string. For example, your name consists of multiple characters. So that name is called string in programming language. Other part of the constants are, so we were discussing about the constant. In constant, what happens that you have already declared variable and then you decide that this variable value will not change. So then you apply some qualifiers to that variable and you make those things constant, and now they will not be changed. They will remain same throughout the running of your program or software. So in these two ways, we are going to discuss the constant functionality provided by the C programming language. So let's have some examples. So in constant literals, what you can have that you sometimes store values like 212 in decimal. Then if you want to store that thing as unsigned int, so you can write 215u when you are initializing any variable. If you want to write in hexadecimal format, then you can write it as OXFEEL. And then similarly, if you write 078, then it becomes illegal. If you write 032UU, then it is illegal because they are not defined in the programming language. So whatever keywords are given to you in the form of the words or in character form, you have to use only those things to define your constant literals. So integer literals can be a decimal, octal, or hexadecimal constant, and it need prefix specifying the base. So if you place 0x or 0 capital X, then it is for the hexadecimal. If you place sorry, O for, it is for the octal, and if you are placing nothing, then by default it is considered as a decimal value. Okay, so in floating point literals, you write these things as given in the example, that you have an integer part and you have a decimal part in literals of floating point numbers, and you also have exponent number. So to represent these things, you can use these formations as displayed in the red, that you can write either 3.13459 in this format, or you can write that thing as a exponent format, in which you write your integer value and then you write exponent and you tell what is the length of that exponents. And after that, if you write 504e, then it is illegal if you write 284, because they are not defined in the language. You are just doing experiment, and they don't seem to be part of the programming language construct or rule and regulation. So whenever you are deciding floating point number, string literals, so you have to keep these things in your mind. Now, if you want to do for the character things, then you have you can be like that single quote X escape sequences. These are also string constant literals, constant character literals, and they cannot be changed once they have been assigned. Okay, so for example, if you write in the form of the string, then you will write hello Sachin, hello your name, hi dear, hello. So whatever is there in double quote, that is actually collection of the characters, and it is called string literal. And whatever is in the single quote, that is called character constant, and it is called character literal.